How about Alex Smith, the return of Alex Smith? It's very fun. It's cool to see him back there on the football field. With the injury, obviously, it's pretty awesome that he's here. And we got to see gunslinger Alex Smith, not something you get to see too often. It was very cool. Let's just talk about sort of what he did well. And I honestly feel like it was mostly just well. There was a couple of not great things, but for the most part, this was a good game from Smith. So we'll start off with this play. This is going to be quarters coverage, so 4 players deep, 3 players in the middle of the field. And for Washington, they have a receiver who's running a route that, this is good against this type of coverage. As you see, it will probably get into a little gap in coverage, and there could be a throwing lane here for Smith to make. Once this ball is snapped, you see that, look when Smith is throwing this ball. I paused it right when he starts the throwing motion, and this is literally the second that his receiver is about to get open. This is perfect timing on his end, and listen, he's 36. He's been in the league for a while. He still is pretty smart. He has great football IQ. He's really always had that, at least as far as I can remember. So, him making this throw at the right time is good. And he's going to have the arm strength as well. Watch how it's really just a perfect throw, and Smith is able to pick up this big gain on that one. And that's pretty cool to see. It's cool to see him do that kind of stuff. He didn't even really do this that much in Kansas City or San Francisco. He has that reputation of a check down artist. But part of why he has that reputation of a check down artist is because checkdowns can be really effective if you do them right. Like, take a look at this one, for example. This isn't really a check down, but, same idea, a very short pass. It's going to be man coverage, and what Washington is doing is they're going to have a receiver basically just try and get in the way of another defensive back. It's a pick play, essentially, and as long as you don't go past 1 yard of the line of scrimmage or initiate contact, you won't get called for a penalty. That's the way it works. It can be a very effective play. Once this play starts, as you see, it's an easy play for Smith. He just has to check it down, essentially, make a short throw, and his receiver is able to pick up a ton of yards. And I think a lot of people are going to sit here and say, okay, well, any quarterback could have done that, but not a lot of quarterbacks do, and not a lot of quarterbacks get the ball to the receiver at the perfect time to where he can make the catch and continue running and pick up as many yards as possible. And plus, a lot of teams just don't run those types of plays too often. But at the end of the day, getting the ball into your skilled wide receivers' hands who can then try and pick up yards after the catch. And there's a reason why Alex Smith loves to run those types of plays so much. It's because they work. That being said, he couldn't check down too much later on in the game because, they were down 10 points with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and that's when this play would happen. It's going to be a cover 3 zone, and you have Terry McLaurin running a route that should get into a gap in coverage. Again, it's one of those little bubbles that can work out. Sometimes a defender will read the play, they'll clog up that gap and, clog up the throwing lane, and you can't make the throw, but sometimes they won't, and a good quarterback hits it when it is open and doesn't throw it there when it isn't open. Smith is going to take the snap, and it is kind of open, right? So you see a linebacker is trying to clog up the throwing lane, so now Smith's going to have to throw it over him. On top of this, another defensive back, the one who's sort of outside the numbers on the bottom of the screen, he's now reading this play. He's going to try and run up and see if he can knock this ball away. And of course, for Smith, it's not like he can just try to throw it up, and if he overthrows McLaurin, no big deal, because there's a player past McLaurin as well. So he really is going to have to make a very accurate throw. But again, when you're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, it's time to start taking some chances. This is going to end up being a perfect throw, and then, of course, McLaurin does the rest. For Smith, he's going to get about 45 yards he probably didn't deserve just on that one play. But at the same time, he put his receiver in a position to succeed, and he made an incredible throw to get there. And that's what a quarterback's job is. You get the ball into the hands of your skilled players. You have a player like McLaurin, you get the ball to him. It's that simple, really. So he did a lot really well in this game, and I think that he is clearly, in my opinion, the best quarterback on the Washington football team's roster. I just think he is. Today, I would rather have Alex Smith. Okay, let's talk about the 2 interceptions now. We'll start off with the first one. So, again, it's worth mentioning on these plays what the situation is. This is now currently a 3rd down and 10. Washington needs a field goal to tie up the game, and they're just outside field goal range right now. So this would be a 57-yarder. I think Washington wants to gain at least a little bit more. And what's going to happen on this play is that really there's two receivers on the bottom of the screen. That's where Smith is going to look at, who are going to try to get into gaps in coverage. That's where Smith is going to look. He hopes that one of those guys will get open. Once this play starts, you see Smith looks there, but very quickly there's pressure on the edge, so he has to run outside the pocket. So that's not great. Now he's looking over, and he does see that he has a check down. Again, Smith loves his check downs, and this is actually a great decision to make. If he makes this throw and hits his check down, he should at least be able to gain 4 or 5 yards. You're now getting a long field goal, maybe like 52 yards or something. I don't know if that's what you want to do, but you either can go for it on 4th and 5, or you can kick a long field goal to try and tie the game. The reality is, with him running backwards, it's going to be really difficult for him to make a throw to anybody else. So I like this decision by him. The problem is going to be this throw just gets away from him a little bit. As you see, it's just too high, and it ends up getting intercepted. It's unfortunate. He did throw it too high. You got to put some blame on him for that, and you can't turn the ball over in that situation. So obviously it sucks. So it wasn't a great throw, but I also think that it's one of those plays where how often over the course of a football game do you have to make that play? It's very rare, and it would really only be in this type of situation where you absolutely need to score that he probably would have made that throw in the first place. So, he deserves some blame, but I'm not worried long term that he's going to continue to, overthrow checkdowns, because he almost never does that. Washington would get the ball back with about 1:30 left. It's going to be a Tampa 2 concept that New York is running, and it didn't really run this concept much at all throughout the game, so they're kind of picking their moments wisely, I think. They're trying to see if they can fool Smith a little bit. It's a good idea. I like it. I think it's a smart decision. This is the 2nd down and 6, so, he has some time to work with. And also, there is a receiver running that's going to try and get into a gap in this coverage. Again, that's what Washington has been trying to do against New York pretty much all game. Once this play starts, you see that McLaurin is open right now. I actually think Smith wasn't looking here right away. He was looking at something else, and then maybe he got onto this read. But, McLaurin is open. And I think Smith just never sees that this is sort of that Tampa 2 with a player right in the middle of the field. And he just thought that he had McLaurin completely open. Because if Smith makes that throw earlier, that's an easy catch. However, Smith waits a little bit and essentially just throws it right to a New York Giants player. I just think he got fooled by the coverage. He probably thought it was cover 3, which would have meant that the Giant would have been much further deep in the field, and that middle field area would be open, because oftentimes that area of the field is open, which I think Smith just thought it was going to be open on this play as well. He never looked up to see where the safety was, and it cost him. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's not the end of the world mistake. To me, that's more good defense than bad offense, but it's worth mentioning Smith did not have a perfect day. I just thought he did enough well that I'm willing to just sort of see what I have. If I'm the Washington football team head coach, I want to see what he has left in the tank. That's just kind of my mindset. So I'm not saying he was perfect. I thought he was good. I think that's how I would describe it. If I'm grading someone on a scale of 1 to 10, he would get like a 6, like slightly above average. That's kind of how I feel he played. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that his interceptions were, I'm being too easy on him? Because I might be being a bit easy on him on those. Or do you think that I'm right? I'm being as hard on him as I should be, and the good outweighed the bad, because that's what I think. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.